John Jones. Speaking of John Jones, he came out and was talking about almost immediately after Khabib beat Gaethje. News came.
He's too insecure about it, man.
The community came out and said, "Hey, Khabib is the best to ever do it. He should be the GOAT, #1 pound for pound." Initially, from the tweets that I saw, John Jones was kind of giving passive aggressive compliments to Khabib, if you want to say that. He's like, something about taking off the crown from his head and putting onto Khabib's, whatever it may be. But then soon, it didn't take too long for him to start on a rampage of trying to convince the community that he's done more and is a better MMA has a better MMA resume than anybody ever, including Khabib.
I posted a video of that, actually.
Yeah.
So his whole thing was that he has 5. I think 5.
How many dislikes you get?
Like 2.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, he's basically saying that you can't compare it because he has 14, whereas Khabib has only 5, right?
Yeah.
Titles.
He's right. He's right.
As in,
he is right.
He is right.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about pure dominance, you can't compare the two. You know, even in his last 2 fights, very, very close fights.
No, I know.
With John Jones, right?
Your last 2 fights don't dictate your entire fight history.
Sure,
right?
Sure. But you know what the thing with the fight with Reyes, I'm giving that to Reyes. The fight before that, who did he fight again? Was it Werdum?
Thiago Alves or Silva, whatever his name is. Santos. Thiago Santos.
Santos. Yeah, even then, honestly, I had Santos winning that fight until he tore his ACL, his MCL, LCL.
Every L.
You know?
Every L, yeah.
he tore everything. But I don't know, man. I don't see him, like...
Yeah.
You can't be called a GOAT when you take steroids, you know?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing.
That's the biggest thing, right? So a lot of people have got have a bad taste in their mouths when it comes to John Jones because of all the controversy revolving his outside conflicts where he has criminal records, he has hit and runs, he has DUIs, he has tons of stuff, too many things. He has so many things. So add to the fact that he also got popped for enhancing performance enhancing drugs. There's a lot of politics that went into that, whether or not he actually
caught hiding like underneath the ring. You know,
he also if he actually did it, yes, hiding under the ring because he said that I smoked marijuana, even though it was said that they don't necessarily test for marijuana. So there's a lot to hate about John Jones, right? He provides a lot for you to dislike about him. So I get what he's trying to say, right? Where he's saying that he has the most title defenses, or he has a lot of title defenses. He's technically undefeated. He's been doing it for much longer. His competition level is probably a little bit higher overall, right? Khabib has really only fought the top 10 maybe in the last 5 or 6 fights. Other than that,
he's ran through them, you know.
Yeah, sure, he's ran through them, but so did John Jones, right? So the discussion is comes down to first acknowledging. I will acknowledge Khabib is the greatest lightweight in UFC history, right? So that includes guys like BJ Penn and Connor and so on and so forth. So that's a different discussion, but he does have a resume. John Jones has a resume that probably is a little bit better than Khabib's, but in the moment, you gotta let him shine, right? You gotta let it go because
I get that, but you always come back to the steroids, you know.
Yeah.
If you're caught with steroids, how can you be considered the GOAT?
But the thing is that
to me, it doesn't make sense.
To be fair to him, though, he wasn't necessarily penalized for the steroids. He was penalized for taking supplements that were tainted.
Right.
Right. He wasn't necessarily.
Like
yeah. The beef in Mexico, but he wasn't necessarily proven or convicted of actually taking steroids, right, or any anabolic steroids. He was suspended because he took these supplements, and we found that these supplements have traces of that that steroid. And then later on, when he got popped again, it was at such small amounts. It was deemed that it wasn't as likely. It was very unlikely that he was using such small amounts, and it was most likely pulsating feedback that they were getting from the previous tainted supplements that he took. So there's a lot of controversy. There was one thing interesting that they were talking about back in that time was holding all these samples for the future as well. So assuming that just like it's happening now, testing always gets better and better as time goes on. If we keep these samples for longer and longer, we'll be able to better understand what happened. It does get kind of messy because now you're trying to rewrite history, but in John Jones' case, I wouldn't mind them going back and trying to be like, okay, he actually didn't take it, or if he did take those tainted supplements, it was the reason why he was pulsating, or why he had small amounts later on in his career.
Yeah. Well, how it works though, because what I was reading, it's all in cycles, right? So you go on a cycle and then you come off it.
Yeah.
So of course, if you're off a cycle for a long time, I guess there's only traces, right? But I don't know.
But they get tested.
Let's leave it to the experts.
Like consistently, they don't get tested outside of those cycles that you were talking about, right? So I don't know. I am in the camp of giving him the benefit of the doubt, even though he doesn't necessarily deserve it. Right. I would say that he actually did take tainted supplements, and maybe it was in the coke that he consumed. But
sniff that.
for now, we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.